Are we going to see Terence Crawford versus Canelo?
As I tell before to the ESPN, I give him the offer. If he's smart, he will accept.
Turkey Alec proposed a highly anticipated fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, generating buzz in the boxing world. The fight, likely to occur in Saudi Arabia, would be a big event in 2025. Crawford's win over Madrimov at 154 lb raised questions about his ability to move up a weight class to face Canelo Alvarez. The fight was closely contested, and some think Crawford's win was forced to facilitate a future clash with Canelo. Crawford himself showed interest in fighting Canelo during his post-fight interview, suggesting that the mega fight is possible if the financial terms are fair.
Is Canelo Alvarez the fight you want next?
Well, you know what I say. If the money's right, we gotta fight.
Crawford played down the significance of the Canelo fight, saying that it held limited personal importance since Canelo had the physical attributes to compete easily at a higher weight class. His dismissive attitude was not a sign of disrespect, but rather a mirror of his confidence in his skills and focus on his long-term goals. Crawford stated, "Not at all. I'm pretty sure he could fight at 168. This guy is big in the minors. He fought at a higher weight than he is now, and he was very competitive. The Canelo fight is not so important to me. It's just another milestone to fame, I suppose, and financially, Canelo is next in the ring against unbeaten Puerto Rican fighter Edgar Berlanga on September 14th. If he successfully defends his WBC, WBA, and WBO super middleweight titles, then fans may just see a Crawford-Canelo clash early next year." Alal Sheikh clearly agrees about how attractive the event would be, and he said, "I gave Alvarez an offer. If he's smart, he'll accept it." If Canelo rejects the fight, then Alec insists Virgil Ortiz will be the next man to receive a call. He stated, "If they accept, we want to see this fight." Virgil Ortiz is a trainer. Robert Garcia thought Crawford's fight with Madrimov was a very close fight, and it wasn't enough for Crawford to convince people into thinking that he could go up against Canelo at a much higher weight class. Garcia believes that a fight against Ortiz would be better for Crawford. Robert stated maybe Crawford's performance was not good enough for people to expect him to do very well against Canelo, so maybe an Ortiz fight is a good idea coming to Crawford versus Madoff. Crawford said that he felt the difference at 154 and also commended Israel as a strong fighter, considering that Madoff beat Crawford's 11 knockout win streak. Crawford stated, "Madoff is real strong. He's durable. He took a lot of good shots and he got me to round 12. Crawford also appreciated his team for preparing him to go up against an exceptional fighter like Israel Madoff. Crawford further added that for us to come and fight a guy of his caliber, the first fight at 154 pounds says a lot about me and my team. However, Madoff's boss, Eddie Hearn, was not pleased with the results. Eddie felt that Madoff did enough to protect his title, and Crawford's showing wasn't decisive enough to give him the victory as the challenger. Hearn said that Madoff's success as an inexperienced professional boxer was amazing against a pound-for-pound fighter like Crawford.
Very close main event. Obviously, heard what I said. I would say as well, I didn't realise there was two 115, 113s, one 116, 112. I thought there was two 116, 112s. I thought Israel Madrimov did enough to edge it tonight. I know there's always the argument of dethroning the champion, whether you think that's a thing or not. You know, I'm not sure I felt that Bud Crawford dethroned Israel Madrimov tonight, but what we are is extremely proud of him. 10 fights in, and we're debating whether he won a fight against the pound-for-pound number one. Experience would have changed everything. Maybe a little bit more work rate, but it was a fight that we believe we could have edged. Respect to Terence Crawford, he's a great champion. It's nothing against him, but I was just disappointed that especially one of the judges gave Crawford the last 4 rounds. The other 2 judges gave Crawford 3 of the last 4 rounds, and thought it could have been different.
Madrimov trainer Joel Diaz defended his fighter's performance, thinking Madrimov earned at least a draw. He stays confident in Madrimov's skills and will work with him to improve for future challenges.
And like I told you, I'm going to repeat it one more time. A draw would have been a win for us, so at least he could keep his title because he did enough. Okay, let's put it this way. He did enough to walk away with a draw and walk away with...
Crawford rejected. Eddie's claims as a weak attempt to hide his and his fighter's flaws. He stated that Eddie's fighter lost due to poor technique and planning. Crawford kept his trust, emphasizing that his team trained diligently and executed their plan effectively. He felt the result reflected the fighter's skill levels.
Man, you gotta understand that's his fighter. You know, he's gonna say anything that he can to hype it up. You know, he knows that guy lost, and so do his team, and so do he.
Eddie also said that Crawford can't fight Canelo at 168, and it's just not because of the weight difference between the two fighters. According to him, Eddie urged Crawford to stay at 154 and fight other big names in the division. Eddie stated that Crawford can't fight at 168. Listen, the trouble he had against Madrimov wasn't necessarily because of the size, it was a little bit because of that, but it was also because of the movement. He can't fight at 168. Canelo would mow through him. He should try and face the big stars at 154. Madrimov was pleased about his effort and also thought he did enough to win the fight. Madrimov said that his fight with Crawford wasn't his toughest, and he agreed with Eddie Hearn about the end result of the fight.
I felt good. I felt proud of myself, and I think I did enough, like Eddie said. You know, Spencer's really good. He's pound for pound best. He's one of the best in the world. He's not an easy fight. You know, he knocked out the last 10 opponents he fought, Spence and others. You know, the best in the world. I didn't feel like it was my toughest fight. You know, there were some questions about how easy I won my world championship belt in my previous fight, and I think in this fight I just proved why I was easy then and why I'm a champion and why I deserve to be a champion.
Madrimov felt he showed enough in the ring to prove he was worthy of a rematch against Crawford. Madrimov said, "I faced the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and I think I did enough because I'm a champion. I was defending the belt. I was controlling the rhythm and felt very comfortable inside the ring. I felt I did very well. I felt that I at least deserved a rematch, and if His Excellency Turki Alek can make it happen, then let's go." Coming to what the pros had to say about this fight, many were divided about Crawford's performance and doubted if he could actually go up against a much bigger Canelo Alvarez. Ryan Garcia didn't shy away from admitting his distaste regarding the result of the Crawford fight and asked that Canelo Alvarez knock out Crawford if the two fought in a ring next. He said Canelo could do this guy for fun. King Rai then also questioned Crawford's P4P NAR 1 status and claimed that regardless of the result, y'all said Crawford is P4P. It doesn't look like this man has 11 fights. Ryan didn't stop there as he went to call Crawford bad names and said that Canelo would beat him badly.
Crawford is trash. Don't ever compare Crawford to Canelo again. Shout out young Triple G. He did his I felt he won. At least a draw. The judges, you weirdos, you guys suck ass. And Crawford, you're not pound for pound. Suck it. You never fought nobody good. You fought Spence that had a car accident.
Christine Lopez. The USA boxing team's coach chose to distance herself from the slander against Crawford and felt that his winning was the only result that mattered. She stated, "I'm muting all Bud hate, because at this point, that's all it is. Congrats, Bud. Beautiful job against a worthy opponent." Jamal Herring shed light on the tactical back and forth of the fight and attracted attention to the championship rounds, where Crawford turned up the heat. His answer read, "That was definitely a technical chess match. I think Bud turned it up coming down the stretch in the title rounds." Devin Haney said that Crawford was exceptional throughout the fight, and she also picked the winner of the Canelo-Crawford fight in favor of Bud Crawford.
His Madrimov's putting up a good fight, right?
My bad, so I'm blocking you up.
Yeah,
amazing.
Crawford looks good at 150
Right there, let him. See, right there, let him understand.
Crawford, the weight is showing, but Crawford is Crawford. He's handling the weight well then, for sure. Just based on what you see right now, if he was in there with Canelo, that would be 2 more weights up. Depending on where he comes in, like 160, 160. Crawford. Oh my God. Yeah. Hey, Devin, would you be surprised?
Issy Smith believed the weight jump didn't carry well for Crawford and advised him to stay at 154 and not fight Canelo. Ishii said Bud should stay at 154. Don't fight Canelo. Don't think the weight carried well. Lou DiBella also advised Bud to not go for Canelo right now after watching his performance against Movie. He posted Bud boxed like Bud and won. Still, I think he had less snap on his punches at 154 lb, not much power evident. I think that resulted in Madoff getting maybe too much credit, and that and the frustration his bouncy, herky-jerky style was creating for Bud is 1-68. No, not now. Mario Lopez said that Crawford shouldn't call out Canelo after this kind of performance.
I think he's in trouble when he fights Canelo, I'll tell you right now. No. After that, I don't think so. Hey, Madrimov's a badass dude, though. He's a badass dude. The whole night was great, though. You see,
Crawford versus Canelo features two of the best boxers in the world and is currently the most anticipated matchup in the sport, although Crawford is eager for the bout. Canelo has previously downplayed the idea due to Crawford's lower weight class, which was somewhat seen in his fight against Madoff. Nonetheless, the Mexican superstar has indicated he might reconsider if the financial incentive is substantial enough, and when it comes to money, His Excellency certainly has the means to make this fight a reality if the bout does come to pass. Bud Crawford's trainer, Brian McIntyre, shared his thoughts about the mega fight. Canelo has been in the game long enough to know what he's doing, but if Crawford faces him right after the Madoff fight, Canelo might find himself in a bit of trouble. Crawford will be in his rhythm and groove, and that's a dangerous combination. A former opponent of Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., shared his thoughts about the bout. He said, "If Terrence wants to be great, let him be." He said he doesn't have any idea who's going to win the fight, but he would definitely choose Crawford.
I mean, it could happen. I mean, why not? If Crawford wanna challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great, you know, so... You know what I'm saying? I'm with it. So, you know, I'll be going for Bud, you know, if he fight Canelo.
You got Crawford over Bud? I mean, you got Crawford over Canelo? Sorry.
I'll be going for him. Be going for him. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna win or lose, but I definitely be going for Crawford, I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off.
Yeah. You know,
he's facing great.
Commentator Tim Bradley believes Terrence Crawford will be victorious against undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez. Bradley thinks Crawford can outbox Canelo just like Floyd Mayweather Jr. did 11 years ago when he defeated the Mexican star when he was 22 years old, fighting at a catchweight in 2013. After hearing that Canelo is not really interested in this fight, Bradley mentioned Gervonta Davis, who came in at 154 and survived against Canelo. He stated this is the problem with the fact that he fought against Jermall Charlo. Charlo comes in at 154. He just moved up a couple of weight divisions to fight Canelo. He got in there and laid an egg. He just basically went in there and survived. I'm not on Canelo's level, but the difference is the mentality of Crawford. He's a top pound-for-pound guy. Bradley believes that Crawford will survive against Canelo. He's the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world right now. He said Charlo was never a top pound-for-pound guy. Crawford's skill set is what he brings, said Bradley. He's a competitor, and he's been after Canelo. He wants to fight Canelo, and I think he'll do well against him. I really do. Carlos Adams, who sparred with Terrence Crawford, believes that Terrence shouldn't be fighting Canelo right now. He thinks that Canelo punches really hard, and it will be dangerous for Terrence's fighting future.
Pienso que sí, ya que subí 3 divisiones bastante libre, demasiada yo diría. Pienso que no es algo que él lo necesita ahora mismo. Crawford en su carrera ha demostrado que es un buen peleador, pero pienso que no tiene que estar corriendo esos grandes riesgos, porque no solamente pone su carrera en riesgo, también pone su vida, porque un golpe de Canelo le puede hacer daño de por vida.
I don't think Crawford needs the Canelo fight right now. I think it's kind of needless for Crawford because his reputation is well cemented, and a punch by Canelo could not only be dangerous for him to lose the fight, but it could be dangerous for his life. So no need for Crawford to cross the line into such a heavy weight class.
Gracias,
Caleb's. Plant said that Crawford has a different style than Canelo, which could be fun to watch in their match. He said that he can't look past a star like Crawford.
Do you think, based on what you saw tonight, and I know that's a very reactionary thing, but do you think Bud showed enough to actually convince the fans and the people back in that fight that it should happen?
You know, I think he's been out for a year, so maybe there was some ring rust as well. And also styles make fights. That guy's got a bit of a difference. He's got some attributes that Canelo has, his explosiveness, his power, but he still has a different style than Canelo. So styles make fights. I feel like if Terrence could get a little more busy, a little more active, you know, it could do him better. And at that point, I really wouldn't put anything past Terrence. He's a special man. And, you know, thus far, when he puts his mind to something.
Crawford's training partner and 3-weight world champion Shakur Stevenson thinks that his fellow term Crawford has the power to hurt Canelo and will get his hand raised if the two do meet in the ring. He said that he's been with him for a long time. He thinks Terrence has a better IQ than Canelo and can hurt Canelo. I stand on that Crawford beats Canelo. I stand on that. I'm just speaking off from what I've seen. With Bud. I'm in the gym with him. I get to watch him all the time. There have been times when I've been around him every day. I've been in training camps with Bud. I've seen him hurt big weights. I've seen him hit big weights and they go on shaky legs. I just don't agree with the idea that Bud can't hurt Canelo or he hasn't got enough to keep Canelo off of him. I think Bud is the better boxer IQ-wise. I think he's strong, and I think he can beat Canelo Alvarez. That's just my view, and until someone can show me otherwise, then I believe what I believe. Jose Benavidez thinks that Terrence can beat Canelo. Whatever. Happens in boxing depends on your approach, he said.
You know, I feel like anybody's beatable. You know, Crawford's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. He's a smart fighter. He's undefeated, right? He's beat the best of the best. So, I mean, I feel like he'll beat him. I mean, if everyone puts their mind to it and they train how they're supposed to train, which I know he is, I mean, anything's possible because Crawford is, I mean, Canelo's not bigger than him. I mean, weight-wise he is, but height-wise, they're about the same height. So, I mean, boxing, anything's possible. Just how you choose your...
The sparring partner, Kyron Davis, who has shared the ring with both athletes, thinks that size will play a big role in this fight. He thinks that Terrence is a great fighter with skills, but the opponent he will be fighting has skill and size both. He said that it's a big edge for Canelo, as he is bigger than Crawford, and it'll be too hard for Crawford to gain win against Canelo, he stated. Davis thinks Crawford would find it difficult to cause real damage to Canelo, who is known for his granite chin. Even at light heavyweight, he claimed definitely he would have to fight the perfect fight. Size will play a role in that fight. It'll be a lot harder to damage Canelo, and Canelo's punches will be way more effective than Crawford's punches if they fight at 168, so it'll be a problem. It's not impossible, but it will be hard. Jim Lampley thinks that there is nothing that Terrence can't do. He said we can't tell Crawford what he can or what he should do. He thinks that Terrence is able to do anything, and he's the most stubborn guy he's ever seen.
Terrence Crawford, he can't do anything. There's no... If Terrence Crawford told me, I'm going to become a light heavyweight, and I'm going to fight David Benavidez, I would say Terrence knows better than I do what he can do. I mean, does it make any sense? No, doesn't make any logical sense. So, at the end of the day, we can speculate all we want about what he can do or what he should do, but nobody's going to decide this other than Terrence Crawford. He is willful, he is stubborn, he is self-possessed, he is possessed of enormous self-belief. He is as confident as any person I've ever met. If I tell Terrence Crawford, you can't drive your Ferrari from this intersection to the next one, he's going to get into the Ferrari and prove to me that I'm wrong. So I look forward to seeing whether Terrence can prove everybody wrong about what he can or should do. And I also look forward to finding out whether Canelo Alvarez wants that fight.
Alexander Usyk is positive about his friend Terrence Crawford. He thinks that Terrence will win against Canelo. He said, Terrence is smart and different. He stated, I like Terrence. He is my friend, but he is a crazy man. I say, Terrence wins. Listen, Terrence is a different man. He fights out of two stances, right and left, southpaw and orthodox. He is a very smart man, and he feels distance and space. Furthermore, Usyk was asked about the factors that weight difference can play in the fight's outcome. He replied, Canelo is big, yeah, and he is a good boxer, but I say Terrence. Terrence can box like a big guy. Professional boxer Amir Khan gives advice to Terrence Crawford that he shouldn't take this fight against Canelo Alvarez. He thinks both fighters are brilliant in their own way, but he said he faced both of them, and Canelo brutally knocked him out when he was at the peak of his career. He thinks that Canelo is too strong for Crawford. He stated Terrence Crawford is a specialist. He makes you miss and counters well, but you have to understand that when I faced Terrence Crawford, I was past my best, whereas when I was fighting against Canelo, I was at the peak of my career. I was doing really well then. I was probably winning the fight against Canelo, but obviously that one big punch that he has, he got me with it and put me away. I don't think Crawford should take that fight because he doesn't need it. Jeff Mayweather also thinks that the weight would play a major role if the fight ever happens.
Well, I mean, two weight classes in what's the name being I mean, that I think he could still have some problems for Crawford, but still that weight is something to deal with. You can't just say that because of Crawford's skills, he can automatically go up to 168 pounds and be the guy that's been doing this for a long time and also been one of the best fighters in the world for a long time. So that's a big jump.
Despite Alvarez being comfortable at 168 lbs and Crawford just moving up from 147 to 154 lbs for Madoff, Keen Davis believes Crawford's skills can get him over the line against Canelo, and by a stunning knockout, he stated it's obvious Alvarez has the size advantage, but size doesn't mean everything in the fight. Davis said you got to bring more to the table than just size, than just power, than just speed. You got to bring a lot of things to the table when it comes to a fight. Keen further added, I think he can knock out Canelo, yes, for sure, and if he does that, that's going to be crazy. If he knocks out this guy that he has coming up, that's going to be crazy. Madoff is a young, hungry lion. Daniel Jacobs believes it will be a stern test for Crawford, who has expressed the desire to move all the way up to 168 lbs to fight Canelo. Alvarez Jacobs, who fought Canelo to a unanimous decision loss in May 2019, is giving Crawford a chance against Alvarez. If the super bout were to ever happen, he stated, skills sometimes pay the bills, and we know for sure that Crawford has the skills over Canelo. Jacob recently told Fight Hub TV. It's just sometimes power, weight, and experience may have a factor in that, so it will be a good test for Crawford, but I think the fans are the winners in that particular fight. Bernard Hopkins voiced his concerns for Terence Crawford, questioning his decision and emphasizing Crawford's well-being and benefit, asking what good the fight with Canelo could bring.
Crawford cares about his life, and with that fight, what do that fight do for Canelo? Fighting Crawford and Crawford beats Canelo. What do that do for Canelo? I just think that there are so many other fights to make that's realistic and makes sense and less life.
Bernard further added, I have serious reservations about Crawford's decision to pursue this fight with Canelo. It's a risky move, and I question the wisdom behind it. As someone who's been in the ring and understands the physical, toll it takes, I worry about Crawford's well-being in a matchup against someone like Canelo. What benefit does this fight hold for Crawford? There are plenty of other viable matchups available that don't carry the same level of risk. However, Teddy Atlas thinks that Bud has a special ability of seeing things in slow motion during the fight, and because of this, he cannot count them out. Teddy stated Crawford has the ability to slow things down in the ring and to see things nobody else can see. And that's what makes his timing so special. Because of that, I cannot count him out of anything. Boxing coach Virgil Hunter thinks that the ambiguity of this fight is what makes it interesting. He says that both of the fighters can win this fight, which makes it intriguing for many boxing fans. He stated it definitely would go down as an intriguing fight, and it would pique the interest of the fans. You got a lot of people thinking that Terence can win that fight, and a lot of people that think that Canelo can win, so I think that creates a lot of interest in that fight. If we had to go on the basics in history, you say the bigger guy, Canelo, wins. But in Terence, we're talking about an exceptional fighter, so you can't count him out. Evander Holyfield believes that it would be very hard for Crawford to beat Canelo. Evander thinks this because of the weight jump Crawford will have to make in order to fight Canelo. Holyfield stated it's going to be hard for him to beat Canelo. He's real basic, but he's a good fighter. Mike Tyson said that we'll have to see more of Crawford at 154 to determine if he is ready to face Canelo at 168.
Crawford has that made him a good point.
Well, he's a great all-around fighter. He's been around and watching for years, and he's going to do well.
Mike, is he great enough to move up two more divisions to fight Canelo at 168?
We're going to see.
So how did you respond to Crawford versus Madrimov? Do you think that Crawford is ready for Canelo, or is it too much for him? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.